After a heartbreaking loss, a devoted father brings home a golden retriever, hoping to bring joy to his paralyzed son's life. But as the days go by, what unfolds is beyond anyone's expectations. Will this loyal companion be the key to a miracle, or is there something even more astonishing waiting ahead? Stay with us as we reveal a story of love, hope, and resilience. But first, make sure you're subscribed to the channel to catch more heartwarming stories like this. The hospital was silent save for the hum of machines and the muted voices of doctors and nurses working tirelessly. Lucas had just entered the world, small and fragile, fighting for every breath. Outside the room, David sat with his head in his hands, heart pounding with a mix of anticipation and dread. When the doctor finally appeared, David's heart dropped as he took in the somber expression. "I'm sorry, Mr. Phillip," the doctor began softly. "Your wife. She didn't make it. She gave everything to bring your son into this world." The words fell like stones, each one heavy with sorrow. David was devastated, his grief consuming him. Yet, through his pain, he realized that a small part of her had survived in Lucas, his newborn son. The nurse led him to the incubator where Lucas lay, barely the size of his father's hand, but alive. The nurse motioned David toward his son's incubator where Lucas lay, tiny and quiet, his chest rising and falling in a steady but weak rhythm. David stood beside the incubator, eyes filling with tears as he looked down at his son for the first time. Despite the pain of loss, a wave of love washed over him, fierce and protective. He placed his hand on the side of the incubator, as if trying to transfer his strength to his son. "He's a fighter," the nurse whispered, her voice soft with sympathy. "I think he got that from his mother." David's heart broke and healed in the same breath. His wife was gone, but she had left him Lucas, this tiny beacon of hope amidst the darkness. Days turned into weeks as Lucas remained in the neonatal unit. His condition was fragile, his body needing the support of machines to help him breathe and feed. David rarely left his side, finding solace in the quiet hours he spent beside his son, often reading softly or just watching over him. The nurses had grown accustomed to seeing David there, a devoted figure at his son's side, the exhaustion etched deeply into his face. Lucas's tiny fingers would sometimes curl around David's hand when he reached through the incubator, a small yet powerful connection that kept them both anchored. One day a doctor met David in a private room to deliver news that would change his life forever. Lucas had been diagnosed with a rare degenerative illness, one that would make his future uncertain and filled with challenges. The doctor's voice was gentle but firm as he explained the prognosis, though the words blurred together in David's mind. The illness would affect Lucas's muscles, likely leaving him unable to walk or move as other children did. David's heart broke anew, but he clenched his jaw, determined to give Lucas every chance to experience a full life, no matter the difficulties. After weeks in the hospital, David brought Lucas home. He had prepared a small nursery filled with soft toys and gentle colors, creating a space of warmth and love to counterbalance the difficult start of Lucas's life. David would sit beside Lucas's crib, talking softly about everything and nothing, filling the silence with his presence. The nursery became a sanctuary, a place where father and son found comfort in each other. Although Lucas was too young to understand his father's words, he would look up with wide eyes, absorbing the love and determination that filled each moment they spent together. After months of struggling through Lucas's treatments and sleepless nights, David felt a gnawing sense of helplessness. Lucas's mysterious illness left him fragile and limited, spending most of his days confined to their small home, watching the world through the nursery window. David knew his son needed more than just care. He needed companionship, something, or someone, that could bring a spark into his life. One quiet afternoon, as David sat beside Lucas watching him sleep, a thought crossed his mind. He remembered stories he'd heard about therapy animals, especially dogs, and the profound impact they could have on children with disabilities. David's heart stirred with the idea. A dog might be just what Lucas needed, someone who could be there when he couldn't, a source of comfort and joy. A few days later, David drove to a local animal shelter. The scent of warm fur and the sound of eager barks filled the air. Walking past rows of kennels, he felt overwhelmed, unsure of how to choose the right companion for his son. His eyes wandered until they landed on a calm, golden-furred dog, sitting quietly in the corner of her kennel. Unlike the others, she didn't jump or bark. Instead, she looked at him with soft, intelligent eyes, her tail wagging gently. The shelter worker approached, noticing David's interest. "That's Bella, a golden retriever. She's a gentle soul and very perceptive," the worker said. "She's been waiting for a home for a while. Not many people notice her because she's so quiet." David crouched down, reaching a hand toward Bella. She walked over, pressing her head against his hand as if understanding his purpose. In that moment he felt a connection, a certainty that this dog was meant to be part of their lives. When he brought Bella home, Lucas was napping. David gently introduced the dog to the room, letting her sniff around and settle. When Lucas awoke, he noticed the new presence immediately. His eyes widened in surprise, and a small smile crept onto his face as he reached out with a tiny, tentative hand. "Lucas, this is Bella," David said softly. "She's here to keep you company, just like a friend." Bella approached Lucas with gentle caution, her tail wagging slowly. She nudged his hand with her nose, and Lucas let out a delighted giggle. It was a sound David hadn't heard in months, a sound that warmed his heart. Bella, sensing the boy's fragility, lay down beside him, allowing Lucas to stroke her fur with his small, weak hands. She stayed close, exuding a calm, comforting presence. As days passed, Bella became Lucas's constant companion. She would lie beside him during his afternoon naps, curl up near his crib at night, and nudge him awake in the mornings. Bella seemed to understand Lucas's limitations, never too energetic but always present, offering quiet support. Lucas's face lit up whenever Bella was around, and David noticed a change in his son, a newfound spark of joy and curiosity. One evening, as David sat with Lucas and Bella, watching them bond, he felt a deep sense of gratitude. Bella wasn't just a pet, she was a friend, a guardian, and in many ways a miracle for their small family. Since Bella arrived, Lucas's days have been filled with a new sense of warmth and companionship. Bella is more than just a pet. She is a steadfast presence, a quiet guardian who watches over him. Even on Lucas's worst days, when he's too weak to play, Bella is there, lying close by, ready to comfort him. Lucas's illness means frequent doctor visits, often requiring long hours away from home. Bella waits at the door each time, her loyal eyes watching as David carefully carries Lucas out, whispering comforting words as they prepare for another medical visit. When they return, Bella is right there, tail wagging slowly as she greets them, her calm presence bringing relief to the tense atmosphere. One afternoon, Lucas was particularly tired and had fallen into a deep, troubled sleep. David was exhausted, his eyes heavy with worry as he sat nearby. Bella seemed to sense his unease. She gently rested her head on Lucas's small leg, her soft breaths creating a calming rhythm. David, watching the scene, felt his heart lighten for the first time in what felt like forever. It was as though Bella knew exactly how to bring peace to Lucas's restless body. On days when Lucas felt stronger, David would take both Lucas and Bella to the small park near their home. He would gently place Lucas on a soft blanket under the trees, and Bella would sit close by, occasionally nudging him to see if he was all right. Lucas's laughter would fill the air as Bella let him pat her head and play with her ears, her gentle, patient demeanor bringing light to Lucas's face. One day, during a doctor's visit, David received a glimmer of hope. The physical stimulation from his interactions with Bella, the doctor said, might be helping Lucas more than they had anticipated. His muscles were still weak, but there was improvement, and Lucas seemed more mentally alert and engaged. David was filled with a cautious hope, wondering if perhaps, with Bella by his side, Lucas could defy the grim prognosis that had hung over him since birth. The bond between Lucas and Bella only grew stronger with each passing day. Bella became more attuned to Lucas's needs, her gentle nudges encouraging him to reach out, to interact, to engage with the world in ways he never had before. Lucas, once quiet and withdrawn, began to look for Bella, his small hand reaching out to stroke her fur whenever she was nearby. Bella's steady companionship was changing him, and David saw his son smiling more often, his eyes brighter, his spirit stronger. One evening, as David watched his son sleeping peacefully with Bella curled beside him, he felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. This dog had given Lucas something even he could not, a reason to keep going, a constant friend who understood without words. David didn't know what the future held for them, but he knew that as long as Bella was there, Lucas's world would be filled with love and loyalty. Lucas's life had transformed with Bella by his side. Over the months, his once dim, quiet world had brightened. With Bella, he had not only found companionship, but also the courage to push himself a little further each day. His body was still frail, but his spirit had grown stronger. David had watched in awe as his son's smile became more frequent, his laughter filling their home with a joy they had thought lost. One day during Lucas's physical therapy session, the therapist encouraged him to try a new exercise, one that involved gently moving his arms and legs. Bella lay beside him, her warm eyes following his every movement. As Lucas concentrated, his small, determined face contorted with effort, and Bella nudged his hand gently as if to say, "You can do this." The therapist smiled. "Lucas, look at Bella, she's cheering you on," she said, trying to motivate him. David, who was watching from the doorway, felt his heart swell with pride. Lucas reached out, his hand finding Bella's soft fur. Her presence seemed to calm him, steadying his small, shaking hands as he completed the exercise. After the session, the therapist approached David with a hopeful look. "Lucas has improved significantly," she said. "The strength he's gained is remarkable. I believe Bella is a big part of that. Therapy animals like her have been known to bring out motivation and resilience in children, and I think Lucas is benefiting from her presence in ways we hadn't expected." David's heart raced with hope. Bella had become more than a pet. She was a source of healing for Lucas, a constant presence who seemed to understand exactly what Lucas needed, even without words. One evening, after a particularly exhausting day, David watched as Bella curled up beside Lucas, her head resting gently on his lap. Lucas reached out, stroking her fur, his face peaceful and calm. The two seemed inseparable, a duo bonded not just by companionship but by a shared journey of resilience and trust. As David sat beside them, he whispered, "You're amazing, Bella. You're giving him something even I couldn't." Bella looked up at him, her eyes soft and wise, as if acknowledging the gratitude that filled his heart. Days passed, and with Bella's encouragement, Lucas continued to grow stronger. There were still many difficult days, but with Bella's gentle nudges and unwavering loyalty, Lucas found the strength to keep pushing forward, one small step at a time. David knew that their journey wasn't over, but he felt a glimmer of hope. A hope that Bella had brought into their lives, shining a light through the darkness that had once overshadowed their world. Lucas's strength had continued to build over the months with Bella at his side. Each day he made small strides, moving forward in ways no one thought possible. David found himself daring to dream about a future he'd never thought he'd witness, a future where Lucas might stand or even walk one day. That hope, however slim, had been planted in his heart, thanks to Bella's unwavering companionship. One particularly bright morning, David decided it was time to venture a bit further. He packed a blanket and a small picnic, and together, he, Lucas, and Bella set off to the large park in their town. The park was bustling with families, children running and playing, and for a moment David felt a pang of sorrow. Lucas had never been able to run and play like the other kids, but today that didn't matter. He was here, and Bella was beside him. As David set up their picnic under a sprawling oak tree, Bella took her usual place next to Lucas, her watchful eyes never leaving him. Lucas smiled, petting Bella's head with a fondness that had grown through their months together. Suddenly, a small group of children approached, curious about Bella and Lucas. One of the boys, about Lucas's age, crouched down to pet Bella and looked at Lucas with a friendly grin. "Hi, is she your dog?" he asked, his eyes shining with interest. Lucas looked at David, who nodded encouragingly and then nodded to the boy. "Yeah, her name's Bella," he whispered, his voice soft but filled with pride. Bella, sensing Lucas's excitement, gave a soft bark, her tail wagging in delight. Encouraged by the attention, Lucas slowly lifted his hand to wave at the other children. The simple gesture felt monumental, a breakthrough that filled David with gratitude. The children stayed to play for a while, showing Lucas their toys and inviting him to join. Although he couldn't run or move like them, he laughed and engaged, his eyes brighter than David had ever seen. Bella stayed close, nudging Lucas whenever he seemed unsure, as if reminding him that he belonged there, that he was just like the other kids. As the sun began to dip in the sky, David knew it was time to head home. But he could see that Lucas was different, more confident, more open. Bella's quiet support had given him the courage to connect, to experience the joy of friendship. That night, as David tucked Lucas into bed, he couldn't stop smiling. Bella lay beside the bed, her presence a steady comfort as Lucas drifted off to sleep. For the first time in a long while, David's heart felt light, full of hope for the journey still ahead. As the seasons changed and Lucas's days became filled with small victories, his spirit continued to grow stronger, nourished by Bella's loyal companionship. Every day David marveled at how far his son had come. Bella had given Lucas a gift beyond words, a chance at life filled with joy, confidence, and resilience. David knew it was time to take the next step. One sunny morning, David set up a small challenge for Lucas, something he'd hoped for but hadn't dared attempt before: walking with support. Lucas had never walked unassisted due to his illness, but with Bella beside him, David sensed his son had found a new strength, both mentally and physically. David placed a cushioned walker in front of Lucas, encouraging him to stand. Lucas's hands trembled as he gripped the handles, looking over at Bella with a mixture of fear and determination. Bella, sensing the gravity of the moment, stood calmly by his side, her gentle eyes focused on him as though reassuring him that she was there, no matter what. Taking a deep breath, Lucas shifted his weight forward, his small feet moving tentatively. Bella nudged his hand gently with her nose, giving him the courage he needed to take his first step. The room was silent except for the soft padding of Lucas's steps and the quiet encouragement David offered from beside him. Step by step, Lucas moved forward, with Bella keeping pace, her steady presence grounding him. The bond they shared seemed to transcend words. Bella's mere presence was enough to propel Lucas forward, his face lighting up with each step. After several steps, Lucas paused, his face flushed with a mixture of joy and exhaustion. David felt tears well up in his eyes, overwhelmed by pride and gratitude. He crouched down, looking at his son with amazement. "You did it, Lucas," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "You really did it." Lucas looked at his father, then at Bella, and smiled, a smile filled with hope and courage. "Thank you, Bella," he whispered, patting her head. Bella's tail wagged in response, her eyes shining as though she understood the enormity of this moment. That night, as Lucas drifted off to sleep, Bella curled up beside him as always. But tonight, there was something different. A quiet, unspoken understanding that together they had crossed a milestone, a new chapter in their journey. David sat nearby, watching them both. He had always known Bella was special, but tonight he realized she was nothing short of a miracle, a guardian angel who had given Lucas a chance at a life he'd once thought impossible. Lucas's journey had been filled with challenges, but Bella's constant presence had been a source of strength that carried him through each hardship. Since he took those first few steps, his progress had been slow, yet steady. Every morning, Lucas would wake up, determined to try again, and every morning Bella was right there by his side, a quiet cheerleader, her warm eyes full of unwavering encouragement. One crisp autumn afternoon, David decided it was time to bring Lucas and Bella to a new place, a nearby hiking trail with a scenic overlook. Though Lucas would need help to reach the top, David knew the view would be worth it, and he hoped it would give his son a sense of accomplishment, a new milestone to cherish. As they began the gentle ascent, Bella walked close to Lucas, her head occasionally brushing his hand as if reminding him that she was right there. Lucas held onto his walker, his eyes set with determination, his small feet shuffling forward one careful step at a time. David walked close behind, offering support when needed, though he marveled at how Bella seemed to guide Lucas naturally, never leaving his side. Halfway up the trail, Lucas grew tired. His breathing labored. He looked at Bella, his hand reaching out to touch her fur as if drawing strength from her presence. "I don't know if I can make it," he whispered, his face clouded with doubt. Bella nudged his hand softly, her eyes full of encouragement. David knelt beside Lucas, placing a comforting hand on his shoulder. "You're doing amazing, Lucas," he said gently. "And Bella's right here to help you. You've already come so far." Lucas nodded, a spark of determination returning. Taking a deep breath, he continued onward, step by step, Bella never straying from his side. As they reached the top, Lucas's face lit up with awe at the expansive view before him. The sky stretched out in shades of orange and pink as the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over everything. David watched his son and Bella, his heart swelling with pride and gratitude. Lucas had found the strength to reach new heights, literally and figuratively, and it was all thanks to the bond he shared with Bella. This moment was more than just a beautiful view, it was a symbol of the resilience and courage Lucas had developed with Bella by his side. As they stood there together, taking in the breathtaking view, David felt tears prick his eyes. Bella had given Lucas a gift beyond measure, the courage to face the world with hope and strength. That evening, back at home, Lucas was more exhausted than usual but happier than he had been in a long time. As he drifted off to sleep, Bella curled up beside him, their breaths falling into a synchronized rhythm. David knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, Lucas and Bella would face them together, their bond unbreakable. The journey had been long, filled with trials and triumphs, but Lucas and Bella had emerged stronger, bound by a friendship that defied words. Bella had been there for Lucas through every milestone, giving him strength, courage, and, most importantly, unconditional love. As Lucas grew, his resilience grew with him, fueled by the companionship of his loyal friend. One morning, David watched as Lucas, now stronger and more independent than ever, called Bella over with a whistle. He didn't need the walker as much now, and his steps were steadier, his face lit with a sense of accomplishment. Bella trotted over, her tail wagging as she took her familiar place beside Lucas, her ever-present shadow. The family decided to celebrate this new chapter with a day at the beach. It was the first time Lucas would walk freely on sand, feeling the warmth and softness beneath his feet. David laid out a blanket under the sun, watching with pride as Lucas and Bella ran toward the waves. Lucas laughed, his voice carried by the sea breeze, his joy evident in every step. Bella chased him, bounding through the shallow waves, her fur glistening in the sunlight. For the first time, Lucas felt truly free, unburdened by his illness, as he played with Bella. They splashed and raced, the world around them fading into a blur of joy and laughter. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the horizon, Lucas and Bella returned to the blanket where David waited. The three of them sat together, watching the colors shift from gold to pink, savoring the peace of the moment. David felt a deep gratitude for Bella, who had given Lucas a life full of hope and happiness, a life he had once feared would be out of reach. As they watched the waves lap gently against the shore, David placed a hand on Bella's head, whispering, "Thank you, Bella. You've given us more than we could ever give back." Bella looked up at him, her eyes wise and gentle, as if she understood the depth of his words. With the stars beginning to appear in the twilight sky, they packed up and headed home, their hearts full of gratitude and love. Lucas's journey with Bella had come full circle, each of them forever changed by the bond they shared. Bella had taught Lucas the strength to keep going, and Lucas had given Bella a home filled with warmth and purpose. From that day forward, every step Lucas took was a testament to the love and loyalty of a friend who had stood by him through every trial, guiding him into a world filled with light.